have we got a fantastic episode lined up for you guys today, especially if you've ever felt overwhelmed by numbers, struggled to make sense of your finances, or wondered how businesses can make smarter decisions when it comes to money, and how you can utilise the numbers and the figures to actually help grow your business. I'm Laura, co-founder and MD of Fresh Perspective Resourcing. We help businesses grow by taking the stress out of recruitment, creating stronger teams and supporting leaders to focus on what they do best. In today's episode, we'll be diving into all things finance and business growth related, from the importance of having a great accountant, not just a good one, to understanding the insights you should be getting from your numbers and exploring how bringing younger talent into your team can shape the future. We'll also be chatting about building a workplace culture that's approachable, making clients and teams feel truly supported. And joining me today is the brilliant Stacie Batterham, founder of Flourish Finance, with over 22 years in accounts and finance, which she doesn't look a day over 22.
Brilliant.
Stacie took a non-traditional route into the industry, starting as an apprentice and working her way up to finance director before deciding to run her own business. She's passionate about helping business owners understand their numbers, make informed decisions, and build a finance strategy that actually works for them. So, welcome, Stacie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining me today.
You are
in the
very
podcast
welcome.
studio. Actually, first want to say, when Stacie made a comment before we started that she sat in front of the microphone and she feels like she's staring down the barrel of a gun.
I do. It's quite intimidating. I've never done this before.
It is a large microphone.
It is. It does look a little bit scary, and it also makes me want to sing a little bit as well, but I'm not going to do that.
Well, maybe near the end.
No, I think for the sake of everybody.
Okay, well, people do listen
that.
when they're driving, and we don't want to cause any car accidents.
No, absolutely not.
I was at my meeting, I was at my desk the other day, and the microphone was sticking out a bit, and in the corner of my eye, it looked like one of the pugs was just peeping around the corner and looking at me through the glass doors. But let's start with your story, Stacie. I know I mentioned that you had a non-traditional route to where you are today. How did you first get into the world of finance and accountancy?
Oh, so this is so sad, but...
Oh, no.
Well, no, it's not sad as in like...
Okay.
A sad, not as
not
in
like
sad as in cry sad.
Right, okay,
yeah.
Good, because I don't know where the tissues have gone, but we haven't got any in the room.
It's okay,
so.
It's okay. We don't need tissues, we're all good. No, so when I was 13... I decided that I wanted to become an accountant.
Oh my God.
I don't know why. I liked maths.
Okay.
And it just, I don't know, it was just something that felt right. So when I was 16, I did start doing my A-levels, but it wasn't for me. I wasn't doing subjects that, I was doing maths, but I was also doing English and drama, and I just wasn't doing subjects that I was really enjoying. So decided to see what else was out there. So found the AAT course and thought, right, yep, I'm going to do this from the following September. So at that point, at 16, decided actually I'm going to leave school. I'm going to get a job.
Oh my goodness.
And that's what I did. So I left school at 16. I got a job as an apprentice, or working in, it was a lorry tail lift repair company. I went to work every day dressed like a mechanic. And steel toe cap boots, high-vis jacket and a hard hat on occasion. It was not my best look.
Not your current style.
No, not something I ever want to go back to. But yeah, so did that for a few months. Did an MVQ in business admin at the same time while I was waiting for the September to roll round. The following September, I started working at Travis Perkins and started on my AAT journey. So. Over the probably 6 or 7 years that followed, obviously completed my AAT, completed my ACCA, so I was fully qualified by the time I was 23.
Wow.
And I did that whilst working at Travis Perkins and at Britannia Building Society, which later became part of the Cooperative Bank. So as part of that, I was very fortunate that because I was working in larger businesses, I was almost able to department hop. So I did manage to move around to different finance departments, got loads of exposure, loads of experience. And then in 2014, moved into my first sort of finance managerial role. And yeah, from there, just sort of gradually worked my way up from sort of financial accountant, management accountant, up to finance manager, financial controller. And then I became an FD. So I think that was in 2019. So I was working for a company called Eccleston Homes, and then from there I moved on to the Heaton Group. And I think I have always been that person that's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Like, I want to challenge myself. And so once I was at the Heaton Group, obviously at the point where you're sort of heading up a finance department, you're thinking, well, what's next? And the next obvious move for me was to become managing director. And then I'm like, well, if I'm going to do that, do I do it? Do I take a leap and set up my own business? So that's what I decided to do. I was very keen to deliver something a little bit different in terms of an accountancy practice. Obviously, all of my experience was in industry, and I very much wanted to bring that sort of internal finance feel into sort of an external accountancy world. I was extremely fortunate. So at the time, I decided to set up Flourish. I spoke to the MD over at the Heaton Group, and obviously I wasn't leaving the Heaton Group to go to a competitor. I was, just sort of following on my own journey. So actually for the first 2 years that I was working on Flourish, I was also working part-time through Flourish for the Heaton Group, which was great. So it just gave me a really smooth transition out of, if you like, the employed world into business owner territory. So that was great. And I've not looked back. So Flourish, we've now been up and running for 4 years. A team of 5 at the moment. We'll be looking to recruit again in the new year. But yeah, loving it.
And about to move offices.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm just waiting on my landlord confirming a date, but I should be in new, bigger offices by the end of the month. So currently our office is, on paper it's big enough for 8 people. I kitted it out for 5. I do like space. I don't like to feel crowded when I'm working, when anyone's working. So so we're moving, staying on the same business park, but to a much bigger office. So we'll be able to kit the office out for 13 people.
Wow.
So
oh my goodness.
Unlucky for some, but hopefully lucky for me.
Oh, well, it's also lucky for me because with our 2 new hires in October, we're a team of 13.
Oh, amazing.
And we're having our best year ever, so it's lucky.
Yeah.
We're changing the narrative.
We're re-owning 13.
We are re-owning.
I'm happy with that.
Wowee, what a journey. It's such an inspirational story. And I love it personally because obviously coming from a recruitment background and you're working with customers and they want the degrees and they want the qualifications, they want the A-levels, they have to have gone to university. And I'm like, but why? What are you looking for? Because people that might not have done their degree in the field that they've chosen to work in. And I think your journey is really positive too, I think, to candidates, to young people wanting to carve out a career and don't necessarily want to go and pay thousands of pounds to go to university just for the sake of having got a degree to get a job and no other reason. But also to employers that you don't need to have the qualifications, that someone can just have the drive, the motivation, the natural talent and skill.
Yeah.
And desire to want to be something. And sometimes that's enough.
No, I completely agree. I was very, very, very lucky when I started at Britannia Building Society. I was 19 at the time, and there was a guy there who was my mentor for 12 months. Literally anything I wanted to see, wanted to do, wanted to get involved in, he made it happen, and it meant that I could get a load of experience. But for me, I always think, like, when I'm looking at a CV, I'm looking at the CV to obviously see what the qualifications are, but I think it should be, like you say, it should be about drive, it should be about attitude. For me, going to university wouldn't have been the right thing, actually. I think it probably would have meant that I'd started my career later.
It absolutely would have done, yeah.
If I'd have gone to university for 4 years and come out at 22, I'd have been 6 years behind.
100%. Where you were fully qualified at 23.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it wasn't the right decision, but it's a bold move because the traditional route is school, college, university.
Yeah.
And then it means everyone coming out of university is looking for a job at the same time, is very competitive, without any experience, and especially now in the current economic climate, with minimum wage being what it is, like that, to get someone who's very green, no experience, 22, And having the outlay of minimum wage now is a lot and it's tough for young people.
No,
and
absolutely.
it's tough for businesses. So I think it's really good, and we need to use your story and other stories like it.
I mean, I have to admit, so believe it or not, when I left school, I had to actually write a letter of resignation from school. That was
oh my goodness.
So yeah, to actually drop out, which is a horrible phrase, but to actually drop out of school, I remember writing my letter of resignation to the head teacher, and I remember thinking, wow, this is a big deal. Have I made the right decision here? But very quickly after leaving school, and probably when I was 17, starting at Travis Perkins, starting my accountancy course, I knew it was the right thing. And even in that gap period, because I'd been getting some work experience, admittedly didn't like the uniform, but getting some work experience and another qualification under my belt, and that NVQ level 3 business admin, great, because I love being organised anyway, but also that gave me enough office experience to then go and apply for my first accountancy role at Travis Perkins.
Yeah.
So it's like it wasn't the traditional route. I'm never going to say that it was easy. It wasn't. It was hard work. The whole way through all of my qualifications, I've worked full time, which meant studying during evenings, weekends, and it's hard, but absolutely worth it in the end.
How did you know that that you were doing the right? Because at a young age, at 13, you said you wanted to be an accountant, and at 16, dropping out of school and going and pursuing that dream and that career, and obviously it did require a lot of work and a lot of commitment. What was it that made you realise that it was the right thing, that was the path that you wanted to go down? Because I think that's what a lot of people probably struggle with at a young age.
Yeah, and I genuinely can't explain to you why I wanted to be an accountant. Do it's even worse. It's like when you're at school, and it was around the time when they were getting you to do work experience, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? But it wasn't. I think there's a lot more help now in terms of career advice than what we were given.
Yeah.
But it was very much a case of somebody saying, well, what do you want to do? And it's like, I'll be an accountant. And
I like doing maths.
I like maths. And you know what? There isn't a proper explanation for it, and I think I decided that was something I wanted to pursue. And I think as well, when you're young, take a risk. I'm really lucky; it worked, and I do absolutely love what I'm doing. But what's the worst that could have happened? You get to 18, 19, 20, you're still young.
Yeah, just need to redirect.
Just start again. Yeah. Start a different course. Go back to college. I think for me, it was a case of, I knew fundamentally that the A-levels I was doing, if I'd done them for 2 years, it wasn't going to send me on the path that I wanted to go on at that point in time. So I was like, I've got to make this decision, and I'd made sure that I got things lined up so that I wasn't just sort of handing my notice into school and walking out into the world. And again, it's different.
So having a plan.
Yeah, and it's different for people now, because obviously they can't just walk out of education in the way that I did.
Are they not able to do it in the same way?
Well, you have to be in full-time education now until you're 18.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so that can be college, or it can be an apprenticeship. But yeah, you have to be in some form of education. So it's not as easy now for people to just kind of think, right, I want to take a different route.
Oh, interesting. No, I didn't know that. Yeah. And I suppose it's the confidence that you had in yourself, and enabled you to focus on what it was you truly believe was right for you. And I think other young people will have that thought, but they'll be, you have to do this and you have to do that, and you should be looking at all these other subjects. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket. And other people probably will cloud that. And if they aren't confident and they may not have that plan, then they get caught up with the rest of it, instead of going, actually, I'm good at this and I love this. I want to do more of this.
See, I would say, particularly I think when you're coming towards the end of high school or you're at college, talk to people, reach out to people that have been, in your position. Everybody at some point was at, high school or at college. If you want to go into accountancy, send an email to 5 or 10 accountancy practices and just see if somebody's got, 10 or 15 minutes for a chat, because it doesn't matter if that chat results in you thinking, I don't want this. At least you've got something to kind of base your decisions on.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Interestingly, earlier this week, somebody that I used to work with actually reached out to me. So they weren't in an accountancy field. They're a similar age to myself, and they've just said, I actually want to become an accountant now. Like, hints, tips, advice, what would you do?
Oh,
and we had a
wow.
really nice chat, actually.
Oh, I love
So-
that. Yeah, so it's never too early and it's never too late.
Absolutely.
But information, passion, confidence. Don't let, if you really feel it, don't let other people
100%.
sway you from it.
100%.
Where do you think your drive and motivation comes from? Because what you've achieved and from such a young age is insane.
I don't know. I think it's probably, but I think I don't know. I'm just not the kind of person that likes sitting still. I like to be busy. I like to be pushing. I like to always have that end goal. And then when I get to the end goal, have my next end goal and my next end goal. And like, I can't.
Such a planner.
Oh no, I know it's awful, isn't it? But I can't imagine just ever sort of sitting down and going,
This is enough
this
for
is
now.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
People ask me a similar question and I'm like, I don't know where it comes from, but it's because I don't want to feel like my biggest achievement is behind me.
I genuinely can't see myself retiring.
No, me neither.
And that doesn't mean that but that doesn't mean that things won't evolve and change over the next, 40 or 50 years. But I can't imagine, like, what am I doing today? Well, I'm going to watch TV with my slippers on. I do like wearing my slippers, but...
And like watching TV, but I don't
Yeah.
want that to just be the only thing that's ahead of me.
I think I'm always going to be doing something.
Yeah, same. And so it's interesting. That's why I asked you the question, because I wanted to know where it came from, because I don't know where mine comes from. But someone said to me, why do you bother running marathons? And I mean, I don't always know the answer.
I
to that.
envy that because I love the treadmill, right? You've seen my treadmill in action, but I love the treadmill, but I cannot run. So like when I'm on the treadmill, it is uphill walking at an extremely fast pace. But
I could not keep up with you walking. I can't keep up with that pace, but I can run.
yeah, I can't run.
Interesting. I'll just run next to you walking fast.
And I'm fine with that. But there's something, and I think it might be a psychological thing, because when I try to run, I don't know how to breathe when I'm running, and I stop breathing.
You're overthinking it.
Yeah, I stop breathing, and then I just end up like out of breath, like gasping for air, and it's like, but I'm quite happy on the treadmill.
Will you stick with the treadmill,
I'm
walking at
happy with
pace,
it. I am
uphill?
happy with it. Sorry, we went completely
Yeah,
off.
no,
I don't know why.
But it's the thing, it's with your career and the business and, other challenges, whether it's running marathons or other elements. People are like, why do you do it? Where does it come from? And yeah, I want to always think I've got something ahead, and I don't want to think that my biggest achievement is like, I don't know, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
I actually saw it on a program, just like a program on Netflix, and a guy was rowing across some ocean or something, and he never rowed in his life, and obviously it's a fictional program, and someone said to him, asked him that question, and that's what he said: I don't want to think that my biggest challenge is behind me, my biggest achievement. I was like, I'm taking that is it.
Yeah,
that is the reason. So it's very inspiring. Anyway, listening to you talk about your story and talking about not wanting your biggest achievement to be behind you, and always wanting to know what's next. Like you said before, what is next? Do you know?
So yeah, in terms of Flourish, I just want to keep growing. So team-wise, I've got an amazing team. So like I say, there's 5 of us in total in the team. My business model is based on bringing young people through their qualifications. So in a similar way to myself. So like I say, we're getting a new office. There's going to be room for plenty more people to come in, and I just want to bring in almost like the next generation of accountants, but get them to start, when they finish college, get them to start. We'll train them up, and they can work up through the business. So for me, it's just about growth, but bringing in the right people to grow the business with, but also sort of not giving back, because it's more.
It is though. But in a different way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just basically, I think the journey that I've had has been great. I've loved it, and I just love to be able to do the same for others.
It's just created opportunity, because you created opportunity, or the opportunity was there and you grasped it, or a blend of both of those scenarios. And it's so uncommon still that people will come without qualifications, go into a profession that's skilled, that people do generally, that you are regulated and you need to be qualified, but people still expect them to have gone to college, gone to university in a wide array, and it's tough for people now, like we said before. So I think turning around, you're almost paying it forwards, aren't you? You've experienced this flexibility and opportunity, and I think it's lovely that you want to pass it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bring people up in to follow in your footsteps and give them the opportunity. And it's probably because we both hired apprentices recently.
Yes.
Most of the people I hire at Fresh haven't come from a recruitment agency background, because I don't want them to have bad habits, because sorry other recruiters, but some of you just don't do it well enough. That's why the industry has a bad reputation, which we're trying to flip the narrative on. But younger people that haven't had experience, I love to bring them up and train them, and I'm watching the team. It's one of my favourite things, is watching the team flourish and looking at where they are now and where they were when they joined. They're like they're my pride and joy. And I love giving them the opportunity, because it is so hard. Like, I did go to university, but I did business, management and Spanish. So business has been very applicable to my journey. And then I came out of... I've just got a 51-day streak on Duolingo Spanish. So I'm still doing it. So, I am using my degree. But 22, I needed a job, fell into sales, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And then I ended up falling into recruitment, and I've grown from agency to agency. But then I wanted to go in-house, and people were like, well, you need in-house experience. And I'm like, you needed a HR qualification. And I'm like, right, well, I didn't do that. So then eventually you push and push and push. Someone gives you a chance and you absolutely run with it, which is my last job before Fresh, was in-house recruitment, and then setting up Fresh. Similar to what you said before about wanting an internal finance field for Flourish as an accountancy practice.
Absolutely.
That's what we wanted at Fresh. And then create an opportunity for yourself. I completely lost my train of thought. But it's bringing other people up in that same way and giving opportunity that you've appreciated from others. And I think people give back to charity and they give back to the community, but I think giving back to the younger generation of people to follow in your footsteps is really positive.
I hate the phrase younger generation, though. It does make me feel really old.
Yeah, I know. The youth.
I know.
So I've covered, my next question was, why is it important to you? But I think we covered that with talking about your background. So just kind of walking back a few steps to outsourcing. So Flourish, we'll talk about being an internal finance field to an external accountancy practice, essentially. We both work in the professional services industry. Yep. We both appreciate and value outsourcing, because we want people to outsource to us. I think it's a strength to outsource. I think some business owners particularly feel like outsourcing delegation is a weakness, because you should be able to do it all. And whilst you might be able to do it all, you shouldn't.
Absolutely. I think, so for me, certainly from an accountancy perspective, like, we will cover, I would say we're like a one-stop shop for everything accountancy related, but we are. And we will cover as much as our clients, require, depending on the demands for their business. And I think certainly from a finance and accountancy perspective, when we're working with SMEs, they might not need, an in-house finance director full-time. They might not need a full-time finance team, accountancy team, full stop. But what they can get through outsourcing from Flourish is actually that experience, but obviously at a much lower cost than having people sat in the office Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. But also, they get that experience, I've worked in industry, so I've seen how lots of different businesses operate. But the other thing is as well, I see how lots of other businesses are currently operating through our clients. So where we have got clients that are working in the same sectors, much as obviously everything remains completely confidential, there might be things that I see in one business and I think, do you know what? That's amazing. This other company could really benefit from trialling that. Maybe it's something that they're doing a little bit differently with their teams and things like that. And it's just stuff that we might pick up and actually be able to add value to other businesses, and just generally give the best advice and the best offering that we can.
Yeah, it brings that kind of depth and breadth of knowledge
Absolutely.
And experience that someone in one particular sector wouldn't necessarily have. And if you don't have a finance business, then finance might not be 40. And so you have to figure it out as a business owner. You absolutely have to have an element of financial understanding, but you don't need to be an expert and you don't need to hire someone at an early age. You can get someone in who is a finance expert. And I think listen to you talk there. I mean, first of all, I made a note earlier about the way that you build your team. I genuinely think is unique in your sector, because so many accountancy practices only want accountants that have practice experience, and I think they're missing a trick. And I get it, like they explain, and I understand when they explain it, it's similar to recruitment agency and in-house. Like, it's that ability to flip from customer to customer, work with different businesses, different sectors, different complexities, different stages of financial year end and things like that. I get that they need that agility, but I do think that they're missing a trick in the people from industry who have experienced it in a different way.
No, absolutely. I think I understand. I mean, I do completely understand that, because obviously if you're just working for one business, that's what you're working on day in, day out, and you know that business inside out, which is great. But actually, from my perspective, when I'm bringing people in, if they've got industry experience, they're coming into us, they're bringing their industry experience, which is a transferable skill. And actually, flipping from client to client to client to client, as long as you're organised, it's easy.
Yeah, you can learn that.
And you can actually learn a lot about your clients' businesses without actually sitting with them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like you get to know, we know our clients very well. We know their teams. We know, areas that they might be struggling in. Our clients will come to us for advice. The amount of times people say to me, "Oh, I've just spotted this. Have you ever seen this anywhere else? Or have you seen any other clients, or are any other clients doing X, Y, Z?" And I think we can bring something a little bit different.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, when you were talking before about Flourish, and you do talk about Flourish as an accountancy practice.
Yes.
But then you talked about financial control, financial manager, FD, management accountant. And I don't think people make this link, because I think the term accountants and accountancy practice is so linked to the word accounts and your end of year accounts, and people know they need an accountant for their end of year accounts, and they know they might need someone to do the bookkeeping, and they know they need someone to do the tax returns. But I do think sometimes that's where it ends, and I don't think they see, because I don't like to introduce you as an accountancy practice when I'm introducing to people, because to me you're so much more than that.
To be fair, I don't like telling people. Yeah. Because it's funny, like when I'm going to networking events, and people are like, "Oh, who are you? What do you do?" And as soon as you say, "Oh, I'm an accountant," or accountancy practice, you just see the lot
glaze over.
Yeah, and it's horrible, and it's almost that bit where I'm like, well, on paper that is exactly what we are.
Yeah.
But we are so much more than that.
Yeah.
Because actually, I always like to think of us as almost like being like, your wing woman, if you like, for the business.
Yeah.
Like, it is that bit where we will go above and beyond for our clients, and we'll do as much as we possibly can for them. And it is so much more than, typically what people think of accountants is they're the bad news police, and we're not.
Yeah, and boring, and it's just ticking the boxes and doing what we need to do for HMRC.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I don't like, because I think stereotypically that's what an accountant is.
Yeah.
And people are like, that's not interesting, you're just a necessary evil, we just need you for these things. And I'm like, you're an outsourced finance team.
Absolutely.
Is what you are. Whether you need to be someone's FD, be their finance manager, the FC, or a management accountant, or a bookkeeper, or an accounts assistant, whatever it is you need, you've got that versatility with you and across your team. And I think the term accountancy practice doesn't do it justice. But it's like when I say, I've got a recruitment business, people have turned away from me. You get the glazed look, I get anger and frustration, just walk off. And I'm like, wow.
Brilliant.
Because what we do at Fresh is so much more than just recruitment.
Yeah.
Because people think, you just send an email out to your database, you fling us a load of CVs, you hope that something sticks, and you charge us thousands of pounds for the honour. And I'm like, and you can't blame people for thinking that, because that's their experience. But at Fresh, we're so much more than that. And it's how do you encapsulate that when someone says, "What do you do?" Because you can't just stand there for 3 minutes going, well, this is what we do. But do you know who doesn't get the same? HR consultants don't get this same.
No.
The HR consultancy, everyone knows what that is. It's an outsourced HR department.
Yeah.
Helping you with anything that need help with in relation to your people. But everyone understands that.
Yeah. No, it is. It is a frustration. I think it's something that, over time, we just have to break those barriers down.
We do. We keep going, and we're doing that.
Absolutely.
We've been going for a number of years with our businesses, and we're growing. Then we are changing we're revolutionising our sectors.
Absolutely.
As we go.
Do you know what I was thinking the other day? I think there'd be an interesting stat as to how many roles have you and I recruited together.
Oh my goodness, yeah, because it's probably more than we think.
Yeah, because prior to setting up Flourish, when I was at the Heaton Group, Laura did so much recruitment for the Heaton Group, and at that point in time, they didn't actually have anybody that was sort of heading up the HR department. So my role as FD also sort of picked up that HR element. So we were doing all sorts. We were doing plumbers and electricians.
Oh, we had an interior designer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was all kinds of recruitment, and then we've worked on projects since then together, haven't we?
So two of the team at Flourish.
Oh, yes, that's right.
We did Beth and Annalise.
Oh. Yeah, we should definitely work this stat out.
Yes.
And then, it's like you're, I suppose, together we've saved time for businesses with finance and recruitment. And then obviously individually with our businesses, people outsourcing to us alleviate stress. And it costs them money. Like you are the most expensive accountant I've ever had. But I've never had such value and benefit from any other accountant that I've worked with whilst I've had Fresh. So the value that I get is easily worth the investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
The time that you've saved me, the stress, the money.
It's for me, I always look at it that what we're trying to do is take away, like you say, that stress and pressure from business owners. Let them focus on their actual business and what they're good at doing,
100%,
and not kind of get caught in the weeds of accounting. We'll pick that up, and we do, because we speak to our clients so frequently. They're not left in that position where they're thinking, oh, I don't know what my numbers are, I don't know where I'm up to. They know,
and they know they can ask.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my biggest thing is I want my clients to be able to come to me and be like, I've just got this random question. Or the ones that I love the most are, I'm thinking about doing this, should we do it? And I love that. If somebody comes to me, I'm thinking about doing this, should we do it? And we can look at, tax benefits, potential costs. Is there, possibly better ways of doing things? And these are all the conversations that I love having, rather than it being people coming to me, after the horse has bolted and sort of saying, oh, I've done this, was this right? And so, I like the fact that we are proactive, that we know our clients, we know what's going on in their businesses, and we're approachable.
Yeah, and that is key, and that goes a long way to showing the relationship that you've built with your customers. And I do think that's because of the culture of the business and how you've grown the business and built it, and then that's kind of flowed through to your customers, that they can ask you the random questions. And like for me, working with you and being able to ask you questions has enabled me to grow the business. It's given me insight that I never would have had. There's things I ask you that I probably would never have known I could ask an accountant, because I didn't think it was necessarily accountant related, but it's financial related to the business. And every time I ask you something that I think is just random, you always come back with an answer. Sometimes you're like, no, don't do that. And I'm like, okay. And then other times you're like, yes, this is great, but if we do it this way, we're going to save some money. I'm like, amazing. And there's things that you've uncovered that have gone missed by other people. And it frees up so much brain space for me to outsource to you. And I hope that's how we feel to our customers, because recruitment can be time consuming. And it is costly to outsource to us, but hopefully the value that we bring for that.
But also, I think your fee model is very similar to ours as well, and actually it works, I think, better for our clients. So both of us are on fixed fees. So for us, it's a monthly retainer. The clients know exactly what they're paying every month. There's no surprises, but also they're not in a position where every time they pick up the phone or they send me an email, they think they're going to get a bill on the back of it. They're not. They know what they pay every month. That's it. Done. No drama.
Oh, it's so easy.
And it's the same as yours, because actually a traditional recruitment company, the fee is based on salary. So you might have a rough idea of what your fee is going to be, but actually if you end up with a candidate that talks you up on salary, then that also talks up the recruitment fee.
Yeah.
Whereas with you guys, it's fixed. Your clients know where you're at in the same way that ours know where they're at.
It's just peace of mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
And financial forecasting.
Yeah. Nobody wants
flow.
a cost shop.
We love cash flow.
We do.
But yeah, we had a client recently that's come to us, and they'd had a bad experience with an agency, and they'd agreed 20% terms, which is insane. And so it was a 50 grand salary anyway, which is, you know, a hefty fee.
It is, yeah.
And they actually loved this candidate. I thought he could do a different, more amazing job, a senior job that they were thinking about. Offered him 60. So, but then the agency
fee goes up.
Yeah, you know, and in not an insignificant amount. So yeah. Oh, this is good. We're just brilliant, and everyone should just work with us. But before we move on, obviously it's important to have an accountant.
Yes.
But I've had a bad experience with accountants in the past.
Yep.
Like, they're not horrible people. They've been nice to work with, but they've not been proactive.
Yeah.
They've not been as helpful as I would need, and I've not felt like I could ask the questions, and they've missed things. So let's talk about the importance of having an accountant, and what does a good accountant look like?
Absolutely. So,
just a picture of Stacie.
No, so for me, it's a good accountant is somebody that you know they're in your corner.
Yeah.
So they are always keeping an eye on any changes that might impact on you. So, for example, you know, in a couple of weeks' time, we've got a budget. During, you know, on that day, I will literally sit down, I'll watch the budget, I'll be thinking about which clients are any changes going to impact on, and straight away, you know, by the end of that day, I will be in touch with people who are going to be impacted to let them know. So it should be somebody that's always sort of, they've got your back. They should be giving you plenty of information. So you should be getting monthly management accounts, but also focusing on looking forward, not just this is where you're at, but, you know, this is how you're doing. If you change this, if you push for these sales, you know, these are the key things, because it's great to know where you're up to at a point in time. But actually, what you should be talking to your accountant about is, where do I want to be this financial year? Where do I want to be in 3 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years if you know that far out? And actually, are the decisions that I'm making today going to get me to where I want to be?
Yeah.
I think your accountant should be able to speak to you in a non-financial jargon kind of way. Just, I know what it's like, you know, obviously there's terms and things that we use in the office, but we don't necessarily need to use those terms when we're talking to people. Like, we should just talk to people like they're, you know, like you would do in any other normal conversation, not try and baffle them with any sort of jargon. And I think the key thing for me is always looking for value add. How can I add value to this client? Are there things I could tell them? Are there areas that I think that they could change? I'm never going to force anyone to do anything. I always say to people, it's your business, they're your decisions. I just want people to be armed with all the information possible to make the best decision for them and their business at that point in time. And yeah, finally, I think you just need somebody that you can pick up the phone to or send an email before you make a key decision. And just say, you know, particularly my favourite one is cars.
That's been my question recently.
I know. But, you know, with cars, there's so many different roles when it comes to cars. And I always say to people, do you know what, if you're thinking of getting a new car, send me a link to the car that you're thinking of getting, and I will tell you what your costs are going to be, what your tax cost is going to be, what the impact is, so that you make that right decision. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to cars.
That was so helpful for me, because I'm like, because it was an electronic car, and I'm like, I don't understand the tax situation and the finances. Please help me. She broke it down, bullet pointed information, so I think you should do it. I'm like, right, let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it. Okay, great. Got a car.
Sorted.
Yeah, and I think people might not know all these things before they start working with someone. So if you have an accountant and everything that Stacie's just said, you don't feel you're getting, then you either need to have a conversation with them or you need to ring Stacie. Because
Absolutely.
I did not get those things from previous accountants, but I didn't know that I didn't get them, and I didn't know that I should be getting them, because I'm not an accountant. I've never run a business. I just thought that was normal.
Yeah.
And then you came along and you changed everything. And I was like, oh, wow, this is so much better.
I think people sometimes worry about switching accountants as well, and they see it as being quite a difficult process, and it really isn't. It really is just a case of we cover everything.
Yeah.
So it's not that, you end up getting sort of tangled in months and months and months of conversations or anything like that. It is just a case of, we're going to switch, we pick everything up. There's a couple of little admin pieces that we'd need sort of an incoming client to do, but it's not a timely process.
Yeah.
And we do pick everything up in the background. And I think that's a big reason that people don't switch, is they just think, oh yeah, I'm struggling with my current accountant, but it'll be too much bother, and it really isn't.
No, and I can second that. It really isn't. I didn't have to do anything apart from provide some information, and that was it. It was really easy. Yeah. So yeah, if you're thinking about moving and you're worried about moving, do it, because if you're thinking about moving, then you're obviously not getting what you need, and if you don't think that you can get that from a conversation with them, then you need to be looking elsewhere. What else have we not covered? So, whilst we're talking about accountants and how to spot a good one, for the business owners who might be listening, who are not sure where to start with their finances, because I think you mentioned before about talking in, not in jargon and just talking to people like normal people. I think that's really important, because I think numbers and figures is something people really get stressed about, because if they're not they don't have a natural gift for maths or numbers or data, it can feel like a lot. And I think from what I know from speaking to other business owners, when people have taught them in high level jargon related terminology, they feel stressed because they feel stupid. They feel like they don't know it and they should know it, and then it hits their confidence. Then they don't talk about it and they don't deal with it, and then that is a problem. But have you got any kind of like pieces of advice for people if they're not sure where to start with the finances, or they're not sure what to do with their finances?
No, so I always think the earlier you deal with it, the better.
Okay.
So if people are in a position where they're just starting out, or they're thinking about starting out, just speak to someone, because I could just have a 5 or 10 minute conversation with someone and just kind of point them in the right direction as to make sure you register for, for this, that, the other, make sure that you're doing X, Y, Z, because it is far easier to have a conversation early on and get things set up correctly than it is actually, after you've been running for a year, then it's 9 months later you need to file your accounts, and at that point in time you're thinking, I should probably get an accountant.
That's when most people probably do it.
Yes, and that's the point where then we're kind of like backpedaling, and we're having to go in and look at things that perhaps should have been set up a little bit differently and things like that. So I'd always say speak to people from day one. And that doesn't necessarily mean you might not need an accountant straight away, but if you've just had a conversation with somebody and they've got things, sort of lined up for you, and they can help you set everything up, and then once you're in that position, you can come back to them.
Yeah, because you set up a business, register at a company's house, then you need clients, and you need to be able to send invoices.
Yes.
And you need a bank account.
Yeah.
And you need some terms and conditions.
Absolutely.
At that point is when you should be thinking about speaking to an accountant to make sure you're doing everything properly.
Absolutely, because it's around sort of things like, at what point do you want to register for that? And all
because you don't need to do that necessarily right away.
You don't, but it might be advantageous to do it depending on what your costs are, or you may not need to depending on what industry you're in. So it's that kind of piece where you're like, right, I just need to talk to someone, and it's something where you could have a 10 or 15 minute chat with someone, and just know that you're setting yourself off.
Yeah.
In the right way.
Yeah, okay, that's really good. And I think knowing your numbers as well, I always think of you when I'm watching Dragon's Den, and then people don't know the numbers, and they're like, why do I not know your numbers? And I'm like, yeah, so I suppose and if you're not someone who is au fait with numbers, that's why having someone at the beginning who can help you with them.
Absolutely.
So understanding your numbers, even at the most basic of levels, is really essential for running a business.
Absolutely. Oh, there's nothing more frustrating when I see people on Dragon's Den that don't know the numbers, because to be honest, I don't blame them. I feel sorry for them, because if one of my clients were to say to me, I'm going on Dragon's Den, I'd be like, oh, that's amazing, right, this is what we need.
And then we need to practice knowing these numbers.
Absolutely. Like, I've got a client who's in 3 or 4 weeks' time, they're going to be pitching for a large amount of investment. We're already starting. It's not quite Dragon's Den. I wish it was, but
we can pretend.
But we're already starting to think about, right, well, what information is this person going to need? Let's get all that pulled together. You know, this person does need support when it comes to the numbers. So we'll get it all together, and I'll pull almost like a little deck together so that they've got all the answers. And I've said, you know, if you need me to pop into part of the meeting, or, you know what I mean, I'm happy to do that.
So you'll be watching Dragon's Den for potential clients then, won't you? So the people that don't know the numbers, you'll be messaging them on LinkedIn like, I saw you on Dragon's Den. Do you need a good accountant? Yes. I can help.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then for some reason, so I watch Instagram Reels every evening before I go to bed to put myself in a happy place. They're usually pug related.
I understand.
Or they were very sales orientated, funny memes for a period of time. Randomly, they're now financy, and I don't recall ever, apart from looking at some Excel hacks and tips. I don't know if it thinks that I now want to see the algorithm sending me more finance related ones. But the ones I've been seeing this week are actually EBITDA related.
Yep.
And apparently, in the comments, no one knows what this is. So what can you explain for everybody who doesn't know?
So the way that I always explain it is profit before accounting adjustments.
Okay.
So it's essentially, it actually stands for earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization.
Okay.
So
amortization.
Yeah. So that's when you basically write down the value of an intangible asset, which is something that you can't see, but it's still an asset. But yeah, so effectively, EBITDA is, I always say, it's the profit that you can influence, if you like, within a business. You know, you can make changes to that. Interest, there's typically not a lot that you can actively do with that. You know, if you've got loans and things and that like that in place, that is your interest value. Depreciation, amortization, exactly the same. If you've got assets, you're going to have a useful life for those assets, so you can't really do anything to influence those numbers. And unfortunately, tax.
Sadly
tax. Yes. The better your business does, you know, you are going to be in a position where you're going to be paying tax. But we will always look for our clients to make sure that their businesses are structured in the most efficient way we possibly can when it comes to tax.
Fab. Well, I think that draws the podcast to an end, except for our fresh or stale round.
Fab.
Which is where I will fire 5 words or phrases at you. You need to tell me whether you think they're fresh or stale, and why.
Why? Okay. Fab.
Okay. So, Yorkshire Terriers.
Obviously fresh.
And why, for the benefit of the listeners?
Oh, because I just love Yorkshire Terriers. I've only ever had Yorkshire Terriers, and I just think dogs are amazing. I've got a little one now. She's 6. She's called Scrappy. She's been coming into the office with me recently. There's a big thing, actually, around sort of having pets in the office. It makes such a difference.
It does.
It does make a big difference, because I think, you know, every now and again when I'm thinking, oh, my head's spinning with, you know, tax and every other number, I'm like, oh, Scrappy just looks like she needs a belly rub, and it's all magically okay again.
Yeah, I do. I have the pugs in the office for the same reason, and I'll be like, "Where's Penny?" and turn around and Tom's got her cuddled against him, just walking around the office. I'm like, so he's having a moment with Penny away from his desk. They all get involved, taking them out for walks. They're always in some kind of TikTok or social media post. And Louis' bed is littered with Post-it notes because he's now the manifestation pug. So if something like this person needs to get the offer at this job, they write it on a Post-it note, and then they go and put it on his bed, and they pay him with a biscuit, and then locks it in, and then his job is to make that happen.
Yeah, brilliant. I love that.
Next one is WhatsApp voice notes.
You already know the answer to this. I absolutely hate, they're not just stale, I hate WhatsApp voice notes, and I think I've got a good reason for hating them, because I just find, particularly when people send me WhatsApp voice notes, and they always start them with, I know you hate WhatsApp voice notes, then don't send them. Laura, you are a big culprit of that. You know you are.
I know, but I don't send you hardly any voice notes in comparison to other people.
That is true. But no, for me, because when people...
Well, since you told me that you hate them, I don't send you very many, unless I absolutely really need to, and it's far too long to explain written down.
I think the problem is that when I get a WhatsApp...
How will you call me out?
When I get a WhatsApp voice note, though, I see it, and then I'm like, right, well, I need a Post-it note and a pen.
Yeah.
Because I have to then write down notes so that I can then text a response, because obviously I'm not just going to I don't send them, so I'm not going to send
Yeah,
one
do you know
back.
what? I prefer sending them than receiving them. So I am a bit of a hypocrite. If it's a short one, I don't mind. When someone sends me a 4-minute long vote, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I hear you. Okay, next one, karaoke.
Absolutely. I love karaoke. Absolutely love it. I just think, you know, when you just think, if I could be anything else, if I could have a talent, I would love to be a singer.
A singer, yeah.
I feel like I've got the passion and the enthusiasm for
I
it.
wholeheartedly agree.
Completely lack any skill. It doesn't stop me.
That's what makes it amazing though, Stacie. What's your, for the benefit of the listeners, because I already know the answers to these questions, what's your go-to karaoke song?
So I like to go big.
Diva.
So yeah, it's got to be a Whitney, it's a Celine, it's a Mariah. Like, you've got to go big. But yeah, I just love it.
I'll never forget the video Mick, Stacey's fiance, showed me of her absolutely banging out Chandelier by Sia.
Oh yeah. But do you know what? People were coming in, so that was in a karaoke bar. People were coming in off the street to watch. And you know what? I'm okay with that because I loved it.
And that is all that matters.
Because do you not find sometimes in karaoke bars, people are just sort of sat there and it's almost like background noise. But I just think,
you got to own it.
I do own it.
If you're going to do it, be
I do own
confident,
it.
get it done.
We definitely did some karaoke on your Hendy.
Oh, we loved it. We did a lot of karaoke.
We did a lot of karaoke.
But I think people sing on karaoke if they're good, and when they're not good, they're very timid about it. And I think watching people that are good is okay, but it's a bit boring.
Yep.
Because they're not as good as an actual singer, usually. But what we want to hear, what I think the whole spirit of karaoke is those that can't sing giving it their absolute all.
And I do.
And everyone getting behind them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that. Christmas markets.
Not for me.
No, why? Because you don't do cosmopolitans.
I mean, that is an issue. I can't walk around the Christmas market with a cocktail in my hand. No, I don't know. I don't know why I inherently don't like Christmas markets. I think they're too busy for me. Like, I do tend to find they're busy. I've been to a few abroad, actually, and they've been nice. But they're not as, like, if you go to Manchester Christmas markets, it always feels very, very busy and crowded.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
I don't like being cold.
Yeah, and I like the idea of Christmas markets, but I never enjoy it as much as I feel like I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And finally, I'm a Celebrity.
I love I'm a Celebrity.
Me too.
I love Deck. I love Ant, but I love Deck more.
Yeah, I prefer Deck.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate...
Is that starting soon?
Sunday.
Oh, very good.
There we go. So no, I hate spiders. That's the only thing, like, absolutely, I fear spiders. So I hate any challenges that involve spiders. I think that's the reason, obviously I'm not a celebrity, so I can't go on I'm a Celebrity.
You're not a celebrity yet.
But, I mean,
Give
there's
it some
always
time.
hope, isn't
Yeah.
there? But I just think it's the spiders that would put me off. Like, I'm not a fan of heights, but I feel like I can't overcome that. I mean, I am scared of heights, but I feel like I would be able to be brave enough
to do
it.
that, yeah.
I mean, I did my little paragliding thing, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. So
That
you
just
can
sort of
overcome
happened
that.
from
Yeah,
nowhere,
I don't
but-
think... Would you do the eating stuff? What they call the bush tucker trial.
I'm not going to
What are
lie.
they called?
Like, if I was on the show, I would lie. I'd tell them I was vegetarian because then anything you're eating is not come from a living
Oh, can
being.
you do that?
Yeah. Well, how would they know, right?
I mean, I didn't know
if
you could make that
ITV rang me
choice.
up and said, "Do you want to come on I'm a Celebrity?" I'd be like, "Absolutely," but I'm a vegetarian. Then I wouldn't have to, eat. Yeah, I might have to eat things like, they have the really smelly eggs and things like that. But I feel like that's easier than parts of animals.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great. You do. If I ever get called up, I'm going to do the same
Yeah,
thing.
just
Let's
straight
hope
away.
they're not listening to this podcast. Oh, and I think on that note, talking about eating smelly eggs, I think we can leave it there.
Fantastic, brilliant. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks so much for joining me, Stacie. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. We have been talking for nearly 55 minutes, but hopefully everyone's found it fascinating and they are with us. They're still with us now. So go and check Stacie out. Where can they find you?
LinkedIn or check out the website.
How do you spell your name?
Stacie.
There we go. And it's Batterham.
That is correct, yes.
So yeah, website is
www.flourishfinance.co.uk.
and you can check Stacie out herself on LinkedIn. Similarly, you can find me on LinkedIn at Laura Leyland, that's Leyland, and our website is www.fpland.co.uk. ap-resourcing.co.uk, and you can find us on pretty much any social media platform. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review, give us a follow, and tell somebody else about it, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.